Alright y'all, well this won't be too interesting, but I thought I'd film it just because it's something that we make as wood turners that we end up using. So I got a pallet in recently with the new pieces of equipment. You'll see when I get a blade for it what I got in a different video, but that pallet had some pretty good 4x4, and I'm going to turn this part of that 4x4 into a jam chuck. So that's what we're going to turn today, is a jam chuck. So I've got my spur drive in, you can see, and I'm going to put that on. This is going to be end up being the nose. The foot's down here. We're going to have it turned out. We'll put a tenon on this that we want to use in one of our normal chucks. Yeah, we're going to get this turned around, and a foot put on that, flip it around, and then we're going to turn this in, because it has less knots and stuff, into a gradual rounded taper to seat bowls and be soft for. And maybe I'll get a tennis ball or something to put on it at some point, but right now we'll start with it backwards. So in terms of how we actually use the thing, so I marked the center already. Like I said, I got the spur drive in. I went ahead and put a dimple in both ends so I can keep it true to my marks, best as I can line it up here. So, and you guys got slid up pretty good, so you know that we're on the tailstock. You actually have a really zoomed in view today. See if I can zoom you out a little bit, move this camera up a hair. Just a little. See the whole thing. Seems like a good view. Yeah, pretty much for what we're going to work on. Like I said, we're going to work on the tail first. We're going to get this round, and we're going to cut a tenon on this that we'll use until this piece dies, and then we'll get more 4x4 and go at it again. So we're going to jam this into the spur really good with the tailstock. Hopefully we can do that. I think I got enough of a bite there, but that'll work. All free, lights in forward. That's good. Get this down here. I always want to check that banjo and rest. This part's called the banjo for some reason. Don't ask me who came up with that idea. At least that's what I understand it to be. And our tool rest. So we want to get that in there. And this needs to come up a good bit. Oh, come loose. There she goes. It'll be just below the center line, and since this is a 4x4, it's pretty square. I can tell my tool's gonna catch just a little below the center line, maybe too low. Come up. That's pretty good. We'll come in here half inch or so. Don't forget to lock the tool rest back down. Then lock the banjo down. And I don't know how well you can see this, but if I know I got my rest straight, I can look through the lathe at the bed, and underneath the bed has a gap in it. And I can see that from my angle. And let's see if I can move you out some. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's pivoted. Yeah, so you can see this bed line. As far as a man could care, this thing is true straight for a lathe. This gap. And so what I like to do to know whether or not I've locked my banjo down straight is I will line that up with my light eyesight to the far side of that through the way I'm looking. Then I know this is parallel to the bed, which means it's parallel to the piece, right? Because this line is also parallel. So that's how I line things up when I'm turning anything spindly. Nobody taught me that particular, like I don't recall seeing that from another turner or anything like that. That's just me using geometry to my advantage, and as well as my eye can see that I have that parallel. So that's how I do that. That's what you see me lining up. All right. Let's get you over the one piece again. Hopefully the audio's coming through okay and all that. We're gonna start with our rough and gouge here. And remember, we're just trying to get it round, and then we're gonna put a foot on it, tenon. So hopefully we don't get too much tear out. I've chosen the end I want because this end has more knots in it, and so when over time you'll cut a new head on a jam chuck. You'll need a different angle or whatever, and so I'm not going to be able to do that as much with this end. So that's why I chose this end to be the tail. And this end is fairly free of knots. This one kind of runs up in there a bit, so I'll be able to make half of this pretty clean jam. All right, that's my reasoning behind picking the way the piece is laid out. And we're gonna turn about 300 RPM, see how this works out. Now this is just, I assume, some kind of pine. It may even be pressure treated pine, I don't know. Heck, does it even have a mark on here? Yeah, there, US, whatever this means. I have no idea. But that's what it is. It didn't have that green tint to it like pressure treated does, so I think it's just regular, like Douglas fir or whatever they'd make a 4x4 out of. I can't wait to show you all the new tool I got, but like I said, I'm going to save that for another video. But it is about 500 pounds. It's a machine. Whoop. So we were able to spin it free, so we want to jam that spur in there more. So I just crank down on the back wheel again. We've worked the speed up to about 1,000. You can see we're still not quite round, but we're nearly around here. We've got about 1 inch of flat there, 1 inch of flat there, a little under 1 inch of flat there, about 1 inch of flat there. Consistent all the way through on that side. narrowing over here, a little narrowing, pretty flat. So that tells me that we got our, we're not quite on center in one spot or the other, but it's close enough. Like we're really close to the fact that we're this consistent. I don't have it tilted funny or nothing. This seems plenty fast at 1,000, 2,000 RPMs to me, or 1,000, 1,200, somewhere in there, not 2,000. Alright. I'm happy with that now. Okay. Don't mind our little holes. That's where the pallet had nails in it. We're going to cut our tenon on this. And we'll get it flipped around in a chuck. On a little bit of a dovetail, we're going to just continue to use the rough and gouge. There's no reason this shouldn't be able to do this. Okay, you can see we've got a little bit of a dovetail there. We're going to check and see if it's the right size. So my foot offcuts from the bowls, I've kept and labeled them so I remember what video they came from. And also, they give me a size. So that tells me that's the right size, because that was the right size for the bowl I cut. We're going to use our big old skew. Get this point turned down the way I want it. Not bad. I know it doesn't look like much, but that's how you turn a 4x4 into a jam chuck. So now I can pull the tailstock back. I can put any bowl I want on here. You probably put some cloth in between there. I left it, so let's back you out so you can see what I've done. I left the spur center in there because now I know when I go put this jam chuck in to get it square, I can drive it in with this. That'll true up the foot and get it back to round before I put whatever bowl I jam on here with. This should work for most any of my bowls I want to use as a jam chuck. I'm going to sand this up. I'm not going to make y'all watch me sand a jam chuck. Watching sanding I know is boring enough. Get that down, and then we'll polish it. I got some Yorkshire grit. I may Yorkshire grit this. I know it's pine, it probably can't take it, but I haven't really used this stuff, so I want to test it. This would be something good to test it on, see how that stuff works. And so, yeah, we'll come back when this is sanded and polished up. All right, hey, if I don't come back, thanks for watching. Guys, I finished this with, I I sanded it all the way up as far as I could on my zircon papers to like 22,000 grit. I mean, it's got some depressions and stuff in it. It's not perfect. But then I used the Yorkshire grit. Man, this has like a baseball bat finish. It's amazing. This abrasive paste, I'd never used it before. Super simple. You put it on, like you wipe it on, get a layer on, turn the lathe on to about 500, buff it in, and then flip to a clean part of the cloth or get a clean cloth, buff it till it doesn't feel gritty anymore. And let me tell you, like the feel and finish on this is amazing. Like it actually feels like it waxed the whole thing. Super happy. Alright, I thought that was just a nice wrap up. Like, look how good the knot turned out. And it's so smooth because the wood there is so dense. Like that's actually close to like a hardwood. That's so slick. Like this, the finish all the way down on this. Yeah, this is great. Work turned out like a great jam chuck. A fun little quick project. You'll need one if you run a lathe. Make sure you make one when you can. Thanks for watching.